because they don't have the vision. And remember, what did Fiedler say? Some leaders do really well in unfavorable situations or very favorable. And some do well in the middle. And so if we had a bank that was going along in the middle, and now it's a very unfavorable situation, the person who was the leader, according to Fiedler, may not be a good leader in the future.
Yes.
Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Now, however, when we look at charismatic leadership, what it does is build on all that we have learned about leadership so far this semester. It is still looking at leader traits, okay? And in particular, we're going to see the leader trait that is talked about the most was by Weber. Remember Weber?
Yeah.
He's German, and he spells his name, it looks like Weber, but it said Weber. He talks about what?
Hierarchical structure.
He talked about what?
Hierarchical structure.
Okay, he talked about structure, but he also talks about charismatic leadership, although he's writing before this time. He talks about that kind of leadership as being a gift. Now, doesn't that sound like a trait? Okay, so when we look at charismatic leadership, we're looking at traits, we're looking at behavior, which we've talked about a lot this semester, and we're focusing in on the interaction between the leaders and the followers. And in particular, we're focused in on how the leader expresses his or her vision to the followers so that they share that vision. Okay, let me say that again. In particular, we're focused on how the leader expresses his or her vision and how they get the followers to share that vision. Or said another way, how do they excite the followers? Okay. Now, well, let me say one. I got two things I want to say, but anyway, let me do one first. In part, this is what's gone on in the political campaign in the United States this time. It has really made this campaign unique, and if you followed it at all, it's unique because each leader has a different vision of the future of America. And each leader is trying to convince the people to vote for him on the basis of their vision of America. And I should say him and her because Hillary, when she was running, Hillary Clinton was a she. And so they each were trying to project their vision of America and get voters to buy into that vision, to become excited about that vision. So that's the idea of how the process works. Now, what makes charismatic leadership interesting is 2 points. One is that it is clearly relationship or relational. That is, it's the relationship between the leader and the followers. And so it's, in that sense, it's very sociological, right? And we talked about leadership before as being sociological. So it focuses on the relationship. And the relationship between whom? The leader and the follower. However, what makes charismatic leadership interesting is its focus on the psychological issues too. Okay? So it's not only focused on the sociological issues, but it's also focused on the psychological issues. And we haven't talked a lot about the psychological issues of leadership, except when we talked about what? When we talked about the emergence of leadership. But when we look at the psychological issues, what we're looking at is we're looking up of the makeup of the leader or what we might call the leader's drive That is, why do certain people emerge as charismatic leaders? Well, they not only emerge because of the followers, but they emerge because of issues within themselves. If you're too cold, turn that off. Okay, because I can turn this one on. Okay. I don't want you to be too cold. Okay. So, but we're not only concerned about the leader in terms of the makeup of the leader's drive, but we're also concerned about the leader's vision. How does the leader come to have that vision? And we're going to see that there's some uniqueness in people who become charismatic leaders. They have certain kinds of visions that other people don't have.